Hey y'all, welcome to Soulmates, Georgia. These first couple of pictures are of the sunrise as I was leaving Atlanta. By the time I got down to middle Georgia where our farm is, it was just completely gorgeous. Almost all the way blue skies, a couple of clouds here and there. And this trip, we were going down there to work. My dad was going down there too, and I took the time to record some with my new toy. I got a DJI Mavic Mini Drone. We'll be using the drone whenever we think it can add some value to the videos here. But for today, I am just giving y'all a tour of the farm from above. This is a new toy for me, as I said. I call it a toy. It's not a professional drone necessarily, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good one to me. It's my first one. So anyway, the field I'm showing here, this is behind our house. And what I'll learn is not to fly into the sun. Maybe the colors will be a little bit better. And the field I'm approaching here, though, is the what we call our grazing pasture. That's where we used to plant hay. Now it is overseeded with rye in the cool seasons, and have fescue in there also on the sides, and some clover. So it's got a little bit of a mix, not a monoculture. And that's one of the main fields we use for rotational grazing. Eventually we'll get to where we can break that down, but in the near term, that is just one big, it's about a 12-acre field. So it's pretty nice to have that, and it's fairly close to the house, which is easy to get to, or I guess everything's easy to get to because it's not that big of a farm. We have something close to 40 acres of grazing pasture, if my math is right. So 12 in that one. This field that is at the top of the screen here, this whole back half actually, there's a creek that runs through. That is about 20 acres, maybe 17 or 18 acres. And we're also passing one on the left here. I'll whip back over here. That starts there and goes up some, about 5 acres here. And this part down here, the flat part, that's what we call the bottoms. That's the bottom of the area of the farm near the creek, and it's also where I camp with my friends every year. Little spot down near the end here. It's kind of white on the side, or not just past that. There's a little campsite. It's in the shadows there where we camp. And then on the right up here, this is just turn right with the drone. This is what we call Melvin's Hill, named after my uncle Melvin, who died a few years before I was born. But that's where since my mom was little, they always called that Melvin's Hill, so that's still what we call it. And it is also the spot where I have that end shot that we put at the end of our videos. That's where I have the sunset pictures up there. Easy for me to say. This is on the side of that, just another open field. This is one of the few fields or pastures we don't actually have named, and so eventually we'll figure out something to call it, but usually we call it the side of Melvin's Hill or the other field up there, something real specific like that. But it's pretty. I love this field when it's mowed in the spring when the grass is really coming up, and I've kind of deadhead killed off all the seed heads. If I'm mowing or my dad does, it's just beautiful. Now I'm coming back towards the house again. I just turned around, and this is the bottoms again here in the middle of the screen. Straight ahead, that field up there is what we call the bull pasture. That's where my grandfather used to separate the bull and some of the steers. But we don't do that now. Now the bull stays with the cows pretty much year round, unless we're switching with my cousins, and we might give the herd a little bit of a break if we're trying to time something. But we don't. There are the cows at the bottom of the screen there. We don't tend to move them very often and do much of a planned calving season. In Georgia, it doesn't get so cold that they're viciously out of season if we need to calve whenever nature takes its course. So I'm coming back up to the house again. This is what we call Grady's pasture behind the house, where the guy who used to work for my grandfather lived back here, and his name was Grady, so it was Grady's pasture. This field used to be a lot more open. You can see the trees on the left here, and going back, there are just tons of trees. There are a lot of invasive cedars that have come in, so we're starting to work back through those. And now come back up, there's the barn and our corral here, and our 2 trucks over on the side, and then we are back up at the house. So before going back in the house and into this, I'm going to jump over the road here and head over to our pond. This pond over here is maybe an acre. Might be a little bit bigger than that, depends on where we are in the drought. But we do have, my grandfather used to have catfish there. I don't know if they're in. I haven't caught any catfish in a long time, but I know there's some bass and brim in there, or bream, as some people call them. They're in there, and we don't get to fish it much, but when we do, we can catch some stuff. They're usually pretty small. We haven't had it stocked in decades. So anyway, it's very relaxing down there too. And now I'm going to zoom back out and head back up to the house. As you can see from what I've shown y'all so far, so much of our pasture, or not pasture, so much of our land is covered in trees, which is great. I love having the trees down there. And we have enough for the cattle we have. 40 acres in our area will let us have about 20 head of cows, or 20 brood cows. We have about 16 brood cows now, the mama cows, so we'll try to add some more this year if the drought allows us. So thanks for watching, y'all. That's it for today.